An opiate is an opiate. I don't care which one it is. Every one of them will kill you.
How many times have you overdosed?
14. Every time I've ever used Narcan, I thought the person was going to die. And after administering the Narcan, they come to.
This is a miracle drug. In the first 18 months of the program, we were able to reduce the death rate by 66%.
Up and up.
The United States has seen a spike in opioid abuse over the past decade. In 2010, an average of 100 people a day died of an overdose. Drug overdoses now kill more people each year than gunshot wounds or car accidents. But finding a solution has been hard because of the stigma surrounding drug users and lack of support for programs that are based on reducing the harmful effects of drug use, rather than those requiring abstinence. New England in particular has been hit hard by fatal overdoses. In Massachusetts, death from heroin and other opiates has increased by more than 90% since 2002. In response, the state started a controversial program that provides ordinary people with the tools to prevent fatal overdoses.
I've seen people get clean, and I've seen people relapse and then get clean again. And we always tell them, no matter what, like, keep coming here. Like, if you relapse, don't be embarrassed. Come back, you know?
Tracy works for the Tapestry Health Needle Exchange in Western Massachusetts. For her outreach work in the community, she picks up used needles, checks in on users, and hands out a controversial drug called naloxone, known by its brand name Narcan. It's a nasal spray that can instantly stop an overdose, and it's the centerpiece of the state's program.
Why do you think Narcan and other harm reduction tools, but Narcan especially, why do you think it's important?
It's like magic. I mean, it's essentially like it's bringing someone back to life and giving them another chance, saving the lives of people who deserve a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh chance. Necesitas ganchos. Have you ever saved someone's life? Or has your life ever been saved using Narcan?
And you got the real sick one.
Yeah.
I was in the hospital with that,
Yeah.
They give me that. And I wake up alive, but I was real sick.
Yeah, what did it feel like to wake up?
Happy, and I am alive, and I'm not gonna do it again. Bullshit, I get out from the hospital and go back to buy some drugs.
Well, you're going.
I don't know what's wrong with all addict is the same shit. I don't know what's wrong with us, If we want to dope,
Your body it needs it.
we are like a puppet. The heroin is in here, and the pop, we are the puppet, and the heroin moves the string, and we move.
Quincy, a town 10 miles south of Boston, has a major opioid problem. The increased availability of prescription opiates means drug use began reaching younger suburban populations.
I'm 39, I grew up in Quincy, and people I used to play sports with, and some people I used to hang out with, a lot of them, started on the OxyContin, on the Percocet, and ended up becoming heroin addicts. And I've lost track now, but it's over 25 people that are no longer with us. They're deceased. And it wasn't just people that were coming from tough backgrounds. It was people that had good families, and they played sports, and they hung out with good people, and now are dead.
Part of the Massachusetts Narcan initiative is to train first responders to administer it when they encounter an overdose. The Quincy police were among the first to start. Its officers have carried Narcan in their cars since 2010. In addition to improving access to Narcan, Massachusetts passed a Good Samaritan law, which is intended to encourage people who witness overdoses, often drug users themselves, to call 911. It exempts them from arrest for possession of small amounts of illegal drugs. This approach has radically changed the way the police interact with the user community.
The officers took a new outlook on the individuals out on the street. Years ago, we would just arrest, and we wore out a lot of handcuffs, and it just doesn't work. Because we had a rash of overdose deaths where we would show up at the scene, and we call it was sanitized. There were no paraphernalia as far as any drug usage, and an individual would be lying or sitting in a chair, deceased, with their ID card. In the first 18 months of the program, we were able to reduce the death rate by 66%.
Despite Narcan's success in Massachusetts, other states have been slow to adopt a similar program because of liability issues and a concern that Narcan is a short-term fix that simply allows people to continue abusing drugs.
Some people say that the Narcan program is a Band-Aid effect. But to heal a wound, we have to put a Band-Aid on it to keep it concealed and for it to heal properly. Our job is to protect and serve. We don't choose who we protect and serve all.
As of June 2014, 480 overdoses have been reversed by first responders. But police and firefighters often aren't the first on the scene of an overdose. Usually it's a friend or family member. As of July 2013, bystanders were responsible for reversing 6 times more overdoses than first responders.
We're headed to Learn to Cope. It's a meeting for parents who have children who are opioid addicts. And we're going to sit down and watch a Narcan enrollment for parents who want to learn how to use it should they ever need it.
In Massachusetts, we're more than a little bit lucky that we have this. People are at most risk to overdose when they have stopped using, even for just one day. If they use what they were using on Monday, on Friday or Saturday when they get out of the detox, they're at huge risk to overdose. So, always keep that in mind.
That's the situation that's why we're here.
He's in detox?
He's in a risk situation.
Okay.
He was away from it for a long time, and so now there's all those opportunities, I guess we'll call it, out there.
Do you know if you've ever witnessed an overdose before?
No.
Okay.
If you gave Narcan and it wasn't an overdose,
It wouldn't hurt.
it would hurt.
Nope, I could take it myself right now. It only works on opiates, but if somebody is unresponsive, you don't know what they took, give the Narcan. So the way the Narcan works is the opiates jump on the receptor in the brain, and that's what suppresses respirations. The Narcan knocks that off and it jumps on. It takes the high right away. It, puts people right into withdrawing from the opiate. If you have to use Narcan, always call 911. And then if there's no response from the first dose of Narcan, you can repeat it. This addiction has such a hold on anybody that is addicted, they don't have a choice anymore. Like they're going to use no matter what. They're not gonna say, okay, I can use because there's Narcan in case I overdose. They don't even think about overdosing.
Yeah, they don't.
All they think about is not being sick.
Only 15 states in the country have Narcan programs, and in many states, it's still illegal to administer Narcan without a medical license. Even in states where first responders have expanded access to Narcan, it's still difficult for civilians, who are most likely to witness an overdose, to get Narcan themselves. Bobby grew up in North Weymouth, right next door to Quincy. He's been saved by Narcan over a dozen times. He started using OxyContin when he was 15 and moved on to heroin at 16.
You do something every day long enough, it's going to turn into a habit. And unfortunately, with that habit, you get sick when you stop doing it.
How many times have you overdosed?
14.
And have you ever had Narcan used on you?
Yeah, several times.
Who gave you Narcan? Was it cops or hospital?
Cops, ambulance, hospital, my sister, my friend's mother.
The criticism I hear about Narcan is it enables people.
Well, it doesn't. What it does is it saves lives, and that's sort of the bottom line, People are gonna relapse and get high and maybe need it more than once. It's a part of recovery, it's a part of addiction, people going back out there. If there wasn't Narcan available, I wouldn't be here. And not only, would I not be here, but my mother would be without a son.
So we're heading to go meet Gary Langus. He used to kind of give Narcan out underground. When people would call him, he would just distribute it out. And then his program grew, and he's basically doing it for the Department of Public Health now.
Gary's been involved in outreach in the drug user community since the 80s, when his wife and many friends died from AIDS contracted through intravenous drug use. He handed out clean needles illegally, and when he heard about Narcan, he saw that the same people he was giving needles to could also benefit from being trained in how to use Narcan. But until Massachusetts started its program in 2007, it was still illegal to administer Narcan without a medical license.
So it became like the Narcan Boston Buyers Club. It's an immediate public health response that prevents death right away.
Now, Gary goes door to door, training people who are likely to see an overdose on how to use Narcan. He's going to train Denise, a childhood friend who's a caretaker for people prescribed opiate painkillers.
Hello? Oh.
Come on.
We grew up in the same neighborhood, and
Around that time, there were a lot of people that were 15, 16 years old that started to use heroin.
And we went right to heroin. It wasn't like...
Yeah, it wasn't like you fooled around for years and then, you know, that was it, kind of.
All right, so Denise, you've witnessed an overdose. Have you witnessed overdoses?
Yes.
How many have you witnessed in your life?
My life?
Yeah.
Maybe a half a dozen.
It's pretty hectic at an overdose when somebody's overdosing, you know, like it's a scary situation. Some people are panicking, and this is the kit, this is the medicine, this is the atomizer, and this is the syringe part, the administrator. Then you'd administer like half up one side of the nostril and half up the other side of the nostril. All right, so just go ahead, show me how you put that together. Anybody that interacts with a drug user is important soldier in this fight to stop overdoses. You know, like drug use, overdose, there's no boundaries, there's no state lines. The other end. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
You guys both mentioned, you know, growing up one way or another, you guys were involved in the user scene or what have you. But now both you guys work on the opposite side. Growing up near that, did that kind of push you or passion you to do what you're doing now?
I think so.
We lost dozens and dozens of friends that, like, a lot of overdoses. And we didn't have the answer back then. You know, we didn't have Narcan.
No.
Yeah,
Tried all kinds of stuff.
I mean, I can remember
Injecting salt,
people
ice
shooting me up with
cubes.
salt, ice
Yeah.
cubes down your pants, like frozen hamburger down your pants, whatever. Like, you know, it was just like all kinds of crazy stuff, throwing people in the shower and...
Just anything to revive them.
When you save a life, that's an unbelievable success. Like when you take somebody from death, like the door of death, and pull them back, that's like pretty powerful. I admit I'm an enabler. I enable folks at every opportunity I can. I hope I'm enabling them to live, to have another day, so they can, you know, make a choice, either to use or not to use. But you know what? They're not going to be able to make a choice if they're dead.
After his last arrest, Bobby was given the option to go through drug court in Quincy and work towards sobriety, instead of serving time for drug charges.
How are you, Mr. Newmeyer?
I'm good. How are you, Your Honor?
I am well, thank you for asking. Well, you made it to this sober house. This is great news.
It's just crazy. It's my first program I've ever graduated.
That's a great thing.
Yeah, so I'm 1 for 5 with programs, but
So you're 1 for 5.
it's good that it's my last one and not, you know what I mean?
It is a process, and I understand entirely.
That it is.
He has been clean 11 months and 11 days.
You know, before I knew it, I was, 2 months, 3 months, 90 days clean, which I've never had in my life. And, it felt unbelievable, so I just sort of stuck with it, Here I am 11 months later, 11 months, 11 days, feels good.
By decreasing the possibility of a fatal overdose, Narcan is increasing the chance that an addict will eventually go into recovery. It might take years as it did with Bobby, but decades ago, this option didn't even exist. And in many parts of the country, it still doesn't. If Bobby had overdosed just across the border in New Hampshire, where Narcan is only available to medical professionals, there's a good chance he may not have survived. But it's not as simple as just passing a law. State medical boards, police unions, and other relevant agencies all have to be on board. And while Narcan is starting to gain mainstream acceptance, progress has been slow. And the states that have the greatest number of fatal overdoses currently have no Narcan programs to speak of. And that's the tragic part of the story. Bureaucracy and politics standing in the way of a drug that can be administered by just about anyone and can give a person on the brink of death one more chance to turn their life around.